In 2013, two college students decided to work on a project outside of their major. What was this project? Some sort of lifestyle clothing brand, streetwear, or maybe it was like a dope-ass keg stand that they wanted to show their buddies? No. It was bigger than that. It was bigger than them. It was a video game. And that video game happens to be one of the most genre-defining indie games ever created. And that is Risk of Rain. 1. We'll talk about 2 in a second, but I gotta cover my base. Risk of Rain 1 is a roguelike action platformer, which is basically like a very complex Mario Brothers, if you don't know what those words mean, developed by the team Hoppo Games. You might know Hoppo Games from the other games that they've created. Deadbolt. That's it. But they make a really mean indie game. In Risk of Rain, you fight endless waves of enemies, creating a powerful character from nothing, and seeing how long you can survive. Generally speaking, indie games are made by smaller teams and unfortunately only produce so much content to where it's only going to last 3 to 4 hours to play. But with Risk of Rain 1, they got a full 40 hours out of me. This wasn't just some flash game on Miniclip or coolmathgames.com. I was fascinated with this tiny 8-bit game that was developed by 2 guys, could have me captivated longer than most AAA studio games at the time. But today's video isn't about Risk of Rain 1. Today is about a more special game that's in the title, and there shouldn't even be a build up here, but I'm going to anyway. On March 27th, 9 days after my birthday, the indie game got something really special, and that was Risk of Rain 2, a sequel to Risk of Rain 1 in full 3D. It was great. And when you hear 3D, I'm not talking about Spy Kids 3D Game Over. I'm talking about full, from the ground up, game revamp, different engine transitioning, 2D to 3D, the video game, Game Over. I still had a game over because you're gonna die a lot in this game. Risk of Rain is a game with enough substance to keep gameplay long-lasting, it can charm your pants off, not sexually, and it keeps gameplay thoroughly enjoyable for more than just a couple of hours. The game's been enjoyable for 3 hours for me. I mean 4. Sometimes I play it for 5 hours straight. Look, I'm not saying that I play this game every weekend or every day. I definitely have played it a couple times here and there. I've played this game for literal in-game weeks. I mean, for crying out loud, I've played this game longer than I've explored Skyrim, from Winterhold to Markarth. So after possibly too much time, I thought I'd sit down and make a video talking about this game. The premise of the game is much like the first, which is time equals difficulty. The longer you stay alive, the more difficult and chaotic it becomes to survive. Much like how when I talk to a girl, the longer I talk to them, the more difficult and chaotic it becomes for me to date them. Every map you start in is an arena for you to kill waves of enemies, collect items, and progress to the next level by reaching the teleporter. The game starts you off with one character named the Commando, with 9 more to unlock. You're one teeny weeny tiny little man with a couple of gats and mediocre abilities like rolling. He doesn't know it yet, but he's going to become more
powerful than you can possibly imagine.
Over time, you become this one-man army arsenal just ready to take on the whole galaxy.
Imperial fleet, get ready to suck some dack!
I have to cover items real quick because it's a main factor in the game. Items are spread throughout the map in shrines and chests that you pay money to get an item in return for. You can get white uncommon items, green uncommon items.
Oh, a green dude? That's what I'm talking about.
You can get red items if you're really lucky, which are legendary. You can turn the whole tide of battle. Items boost a certain aspect of your character, whether it's attack speed, critical strike chance, all that jazz. And here's the kicker, they can be stacked. Example, Soldier Syringe increases your attack speed by 10%. If you want to get 2 of those, you now have 20%, 3, 30%. And then you have items like Focus Crystal that increase your damage the closer enemies are to you. You have the ATG Missile Mark 1, which will send rockets out randomly in your attacks. And then you have stuff like the Rusty Key, which is f***ing useless and I get it all the time. The last item is an orange item that you can add to your arsenal called Equipment. This adds a full ability on cooldown. Equipment items range from Moth Wings to a Preon Accumulator. What I love the most about items in the game, though, is every time that you pick up an item, it gets physically placed on your character model. This might sound a little stupid because there's like over 95 items in the game. Like, what are you just gonna be covered in shit and trash? Yes, and I'm telling you, hoarding has never looked this cool.
This is not healthy.
Once you think you've looted up enough and gotten enough items, you can go to the teleporter and activate it to spawn a new boss.
I knew it's gonna be this.
Or 8.
More magma worms. Cool.
Depending on how much time has passed, you could either be way ahead and destroy the boss in a matter of seconds, or if you've been cheese dicking around, you could be really overwhelmed by the amount of bosses that spawn and how difficult they are to kill.
Careful with the lizard dudes, man. The big lizard guys, I mean.
I need
There.
health. I need a health item. Please.
Yep. Oh my
Which one do I
gosh.
get?
The enemies in the game vary in difficulty. Some are just orbs flying around that you can shoot down with one arrow. But then there's guys like the scavenger that you run into late in the game, and he is humongous, got amazing amounts of health. He can steal your items, and he's got a minigun.
I don't know what you do, man, but I'm gonna kill you.
There's also elite versions of pretty much every enemy in the game. Elite enemies get a different color shade, and they're also insanely powerful. Once the teleporter event is finished and you've killed the boss, you can move on to the next level. Every level has a different color palette, foliage is different, biomes are different, there's snow, there's desert, there's rain. Now, they can be repeated over time, but some of the same biomes have different versions of their level. If I had to give a label to the universe that the game is set in, I'd call it like an Adventure Time inspired Japanese style acid trip rock and roll fever dream / nightmare. The world is inhabited by creatures, aliens, entities, evil ceramic pottery. But it all makes sense weirdly. You'll be fighting like a beetle one second and f***ing energy the next. It's basically like fighting the bathhouse spirits in Spirited Away. I just love the imagination that this game brings to the table. There's so many enemies that aren't even revealed to you until you get to a certain part of the game and you're just like, what the hell is that?
Around here.
What is this thing? What are? I don't know. I don't recognize this block.
The game is completely intense, by the way, and it's an absolute bullet hell sometimes.
No.
The game gets more and more high pressure as you go throughout the game, but you also become extremely powerful because you're getting so many items that are basically like steroids. Some of them actually are steroids. You get all these items all over your body and you're covered in trash and shit, and you're just like an ancient god. You're just laying waste to the plebs below. You don't realize it, but they're catching up to you pretty quick. Some enemies, I'm talking to you, Pots, are sometimes elite, and if you're not paying attention, you could just be going for a simple item grab, and they could send one spike by you and completely decimate you. And that's what's awesome about the game. It really does keep you on your toes at all times, especially the further you go on.
Holy hell.
My favorite aspect of the game, and I think what really makes it so long lasting, is every character at its foundation has a completely different play style. You could be the huntress and run around the map shooting your bow from a distance. You could be the engineer and just set up your 2 turrets and just become this portable little fortress. So you could be Acidric and be like Donnie from the Wild Thornberries and just claw at everything. Even while recording this, and with the amount of time that I've spent in the game, which is a lot, and I understand that, like, you know, not everybody's gonna play this game this long. Me personally, I was playing multi, and I just tried a new build, and it was an awesome time. He was using the saw blades, and I've never used those before, and I felt like I was the friggin' Texas Chainsaw Massacre in a car form. With the amount of characters that they have and the amount of items that they have, you can build an endless amount of combinations of abilities and items together to make your own build and see how powerful you can become. I mean, you could build attack speed, you could build movement speed, you could build critical strike with cool glasses. Usually I just go with a blend of whatever I get, and it ends up being great anyway. And then I die. But it's so fun! And also, I know that if I were to look on the internet, I'm sure there's some sort of perfect combination of this is how you play Risk of Rain and get the strongest character with these items specifically in this order, or whatever. But that is not the good part of the game. The good part of the game is figuring out what works for you. It's not Lemonade Tycoon where it's like, oh, I need this amount of ice cubes and sugar packets and lemons. This isn't a business, man. This is Risk of Rain 2. This is a video game. Not a business. You're gonna spoil the fun of experimenting, just like you do in Lemonade Tycoon. You'd sour it. The graphics and the art style are also very cool. They're clearly inspired by games like Risk of Rain. It's inspired by Risk of Rain. It's definitely inspired by Risk of Rain 1. They have shaders that are kind of resembling Breath of the Wild's art style, and they totally nail it. And I can't believe they did off of being two guys. They're two guys. It's two guys made this game. Oh, they did expand their team when they went to Risk of Rain 2. Risk of Rain 1 was so successful they had to make their team much larger to 3 guys. And I think what's most important about the game is that it keeps you coming back as a PvE game. PvP games are easy to come back to if they have good gameplay, because you're always versing a different person online, and that doesn't really get old being the best worldwide. But in PvE games, you're fighting the same enemies over and over. It's a challenge for that kind of combat to not become stale, because they're just robots that you're fighting over and over again. With your friends, which can be fun, but Risk of Rain 2 definitely pulls it off and has enough awesome AI and enemies and different kind of creatures and items that they add into the game to add a completely fresh flavor to the game every time you jump back into it. That's why I've put in more than a couple of hours. Again, don't bring it up again. I know, I've played a lot. I've played a lot of this game. But like I said, and to bring it back to the beginning, this game was made by 2 college students in their free time, just self-taught and motivated. It's just wild to think that these 2 guys created this amazing title, Risk of Rain 1, and then brought in a 3rd guy and created Risk of Rain 2. It has overwhelmingly positive reviews on the Steam store page, which is rare. It's even inspired me, who I draw and do video game stuff in my free time every now and then. And it inspired me to even try giving game design a shot. And I made a little game in Game Maker 2D. And then I found out that they made this game in Unity, and I was like, maybe I should give it a try there. And I made a small game in Unity. They're both garbage and nothing compared to they're nothing compared to the Risk of Rain game. It was really cool though to experiment with game design and try just free software, what you can make from it. And that's what these guys did. And it's really impressive what a little bit of passion, some motivation, and maybe a whole lot of drive can do and create. Give it a whirl, folks. Risk of Rain 2, I think it's on sale. It usually is. Whatever. It's got the J-Bone seal of approval. But thank you so much for watching the video. Give it a like if you like the video. Subscribe if you want to help me grow this channel and this audience so I can give you guys more nerd videos, and I don't know. Maybe I should do something else besides video games, but I really like doing this so far, so thanks for watching.